Hey guys, Dr. Ruth Roberts here, creator of the original Crock Pet diet, and welcome to this week's episode of Live. Hanging out on the porch with the dogs. We've had our first walk for the morning, which is awesome. Got the hummingbird feeder up there, so check that out. And this is the true benefit of working from home. So there's Gracie. There's Mona, and there's, oh, you saw, sorry, there you are, buddy. So they're chilling out. We're valiantly trying not to turn on the air conditioning, so we're all hanging out on the porch with the fan going. Hey Lisa, good to see you. So got a couple of questions to answer for you. Some folks sent in this week, and actually Lisa sent in the question about going to the beach, and let me look back here at the notes. So so what critters to avoid and hazards and things like that. So in practice, the one of the more common things was folks would come down to the beach, take their dogs to the beach. The dog's hot, it's walking in the seawater and drinking at the same time, and then before they leave the beach, explosive diarrhea, which is unattractive, but probably better than in the rental car, right? So salt is a cathartic. So it's been used as a way to unconstipate people and animals in the past. So be mindful of that. If you find that your pet is drinking a lot of seawater, don't let them do it, because it will have disastrous results at the end of the day. So make sure you've got plenty of fresh water for your pet at the beach. The other thing, so down here in Charleston, our economy is based on tourism. And so we go to the beach and we're like, oh my God, that ding dong has got a tent up but won't let the dog get under it. So remember, they need shade. They're not used to sitting out under the hot sun any more than we are. I mean, I just showed you all of our guys, and you saw Esau sitting here panting. It's maybe 85 right now. We've got a breeze, we've got a fan, it's relatively pleasant. It gets hot, they get really hot. So they're going to do the thing that they think will cool them down, which is to drink salt water. So no, not so much. The other things are if there's a lot of seaweed that's washed up on the beach, a lot of them will try to eat that same concept. Great, full of iodine, but also full of salt. So if they eat a ton of that, that can also create some major GI distress. And then, the critters, so sand crabs, things of that nature. That's not going to be a big deal per se as far as eating them. However, to get to them, once upon a time, I had a dog we took to the beach, and I look over and all I can see is her little tail sticking up out of the sand, just wagging like this because she's going after the sand crabs. So I'm a ding dong. I just moved to Charleston, and what had happened was she's destroying the habitat for these guys. So, keep your guys on a beach, when you're on the beach rather, keep them on a leash so they're not destroying habitat, doing stuff that they shouldn't do. So that's kind of it. The other big thing is if you take your dog to a beach, yes, they need shade. Yes, they probably need to stay on leash. And you know how you can't walk across the sand barefooted and when it's 90 degrees? They probably can't either. So, as dorky as it may look, put some booties on them or something so they don't burn their foot pads. Hey Alicia, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. So that's kind of it for beach tips. All the other common sense stuff. If it's too hot for you, it's too hot for them. The other thing is to remember that many beaches don't even allow dogs on during high season. So for instance, on Folly Beach, you can't take your dog on the beach until after 6 p.m. And the dog has to be on leash so that they don't get into trouble. Once October rolls around and tourist season is less crazy, then not so bad. Hey Cindy, good to see you. Hope you're doing well, and thanks Alicia for sharing the video. So the other question that comes up, and we're getting, I get this all the time. I think it's just because it's so common. Kelly wrote in and asked about her friend who's got a 14-year-old lab, and he's on Crock Pet, And do you have any suggestions regarding feeding the diet to a dog that's in early stage kidney disease, rising levels? The veterinarian suggested low protein food. Okay, this is heresy, but I'm just going to say it because this is what makes sense to me and what works in practice. At 14 years of age, if the values are relatively low, so like they're in stage 1, stage 2 iris disease, meaning for a dog creatinine is going to be under 2.6 to 2.9, same, and then cats like 2.9 to 3.1, don't change their food. They are old, they have arthritis, they already have problems with maintaining muscle. So if you start feeding a low protein diet, they're going to start losing muscle. And so this 14-year-old dog that was doing pretty darn good, getting along, going out for their walks, things of that nature, all of a sudden has more difficulty doing that because they have less muscle to help protect those joints that are already arthritic. Yes, dropping the protein will drop the numbers, but the big thing is, how's your pet doing? Did those values turn up high and you're on a, you went in for an annual wellness check and got some blood work done? I wouldn't change the protein. But here's the deal. Science moves faster than medicine. So for instance, on the human side, the recommendation to do a mammogram every 2 years came out probably 3 to 4 years ago. But most private practice MDs are still recommending annual mammograms for anybody over 40. So that's an example from the human side. On the veterinary side, we have plenty. But this is the point, is that those recommendations were put out some time ago. And no, look at your dog, look at your cat, look what's going on in their lives, and then do other things. Good to see you too, Lisa. So the other important thing is to use other means. So she's already feeding crock-pot diet. And what that's going to do is keep more water in the dog system so that the kidneys are being flushed out more easily. You can add water to the diet. And then the other big thing is quercetin seems to help reduce kidney values, creatinine over time. So there's a bunch of stuff out there. If you go to the website, I've got a kidney health program that really details this out very nicely. So that's really it. That's the standard recommendation anytime the creatinine budges above the normal range, and sometimes even when it's in the normal range. I can't tell you that that's good for the pet overall. For cats, there's more data out there that they try not to reduce those the protein in the diet until things are much more advanced. For me personally, I do not drop the protein values until we simply cannot control the phosphorus level any other way. And so that's when dogs and cats have creatinines of 6, 7, 8, 9, and they're beginning to get symptoms like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, things of that nature. We want to keep these guys happy. So having said that, I'm going to hit something a little bit more somber today. I had a dear friend and client write me over the week. He's been struggling with cancer for some time and unfortunately is beginning to lose that value. And my friend is really smart, so I know that he's taking care of his pets, but it reminds me of a couple of things in a situation where it's, we're all sort of in a difficult spot. Hey Sally, good to see you. So some time ago I wrote a blog about helping people that have pets that have extensive disease that's just really, sometimes it's terminal, sometimes it's an episode that's just going to be bad for a while and then it'll get better. And I'll post a link to that. And so, and I can tell you from personal experience, unfortunately, that this is what happens. You're in the middle of this stuff. You're so, if you're sick yourself, you are so occupied with getting through the day and getting things done, it's difficult to sort out what's important. And so there's this concept of an energy bank, if you will. And in Chinese medicine, this is expressed eloquently in thinking about Jing or essence. Everybody's born with a certain amount of Jing. And you can save it, you can add to it. So if you eat well and eat to support yourself, you can develop what's called postnatal Jing. So there's prenatal Jing, that's the candle you're born with, and then there's postnatal Jing. And if you eat well, your digestion is working well, then the energy, or gu, qi, spelled Gu, from food gets turned into postnatal Jing when you sleep at night, if you've got leftovers. That's presuming you've spent your energy wisely for the day. So the concept I'm trying to get across here is, so last 2 years I've been really sick, and finally in December I had to retire because I just couldn't get through the day anymore. And my worry was that I was going to hurt somebody. I was going to injure somebody's pet. And so here's the lesson that I couldn't see when I was in the middle of it. And that's that I didn't have that much energy to spend, but I was still going to work every day, and then every 3 days, and then 6 hours for those 3 days. And then finally I got the message that I just didn't have the juice to even do that and do it well. And so, I'm stepping back, had to step back from practice. Unfortunately, it's unlikely I'll be able to return to practice, but this is what I can do to support people and their pets. So that's the choice that I came to. This is where I can spend 2 to 3 hours getting this presentation ready for you guys, doing some research, looking at your questions, thinking about it, writing out a script. So this to me is a great investment in time, because I've helped you, I've helped your pets, and ultimately this video gets put on our YouTube channel where it ends up helping a lot more people. And then it also helps us develop blog topics, so something we can write more about. So this is a great investment in time. Now, when you're sick, really sick, and thankfully what I have isn't going to kill me. It's just going to annoy the heck out of me, and it's going to limit what I can do on a daily basis. For my friend that's ill, he has to be very, very careful about where he spends his energy. So to give you, and so that's where you as a friend of somebody that's very ill can help figure out what, you can ask them directly, and that's the best way, because we make assumptions, but almost always the assumptions are based on what we think that person wants, and ultimately what we would want in that situation, or so we think. So hopefully that makes some sense. But ask your friend, what can I do to help you? Many times they can tell you something very specific. Sometimes they're so in the middle of it that they can't fight their way through the fog to do that. So to give you an example, a very long time family friend, Jane, was dying of pancreatic cancer a couple of years ago. My mother went up to visit her, and she's on hospice already, so the end is coming. So here's JJ, Jane's little dog, walking around the bed. And so my mother picks up JJ and puts him in bed with Jane. And he was so happy. And he's a little Jack Russell, and he did all the moans and cries. And Jane said, "Thank you. I haven't been able to hold him for over a week." And that's the thing, is everybody is so busy taking care of Jane that they forget about her relationship with JJ. And so that helped JJ and Jane, and then that became part of the routine for the day. Whoever was hanging out with Jane, whether it was the hospice nurse or one of her friends, if JJ came around the bed, they picked JJ up and put him in the bed with Jane. So was that gratifying for Jane? Yeah. She got her buddy, she got to snuggle with him. But that's my point, is that she was very ill, she's on pain medication to help with the illness, and she couldn't work through the fog to say, "Would you pick JJ up and put him in bed with me?" So that's the thing, is that, when you're in the middle of stuff, sometimes you can't see it. And so that's where it's important to help your friend out, to see what part of their normal routine in their life that you know about, you can help restore for them. So kind of bear that in mind. The other thing I would encourage you to do is, sorry for this moribund stuff, but it's a part of life, and I've been thinking about it for a while. If you have a will, fantastic. Make sure you have something set aside for your pets. If you don't have a will, go to an attorney. It's going to cost you, I don't know, $100, $200. Hey, Aaron, we're good to see you. So go get a will. Talk to a friend in advance to say, hey, if I check out tomorrow, because that is the thing about life, is that we all presume tomorrow is going to be here and we'll take care of it then, right? Sometimes the tomorrow doesn't come. So if something were to happen to me, I got really sick or I died or any of that, would you take care of my pets? Great. Okay. Now what you do is you name this person in your will, and there are other documents like springing power of attorney and some other stuff that that's all lawyer gobbledygook, but there are pieces of paper that will help protect you and your family and your four-legged family members in the event of not being able to take care of things yourself. So if you are married, you're partnered, you're living with somebody, as kind of weird as it is to sit down and talk about that stuff, talk about it. Because that way you've got a plan laid out. If weird stuff happens, you don't have to think about it. It's in motion. It's picking up the document and saying, okay, here we go. Let's fire this thing off. So remember your pets. The other thing I would encourage you to do, if you don't have life insurance for yourself, if you're a single person, you don't have any debt, all of that good stuff, or you don't have the cash, you don't have a huge chunk of cash, set something up so that your pets can be cared for if you are unable to do it for them financially. So that includes, if the worst happens, you die, if you have some sort of a life insurance policy set up that kicks in to take care of your pets so that your friend now has the resources available to continue to care for them, that's fantastic. If you set something up, if you've got something kind of ugly coming, I'm fortunate in that my wife Mary Jo was able to carry on taking care of these guys sort of through the worst of it. So we had plan B available, and we were able to put it in place. So I think that's kind of the biggest chunks of it. But make sure you've got some sort of a plan in place. Now, going back to that concept of an energy bank, so I've kind of figured out what I can do and what I can't do during a day, although sometimes I still overreach. Same thing happens with pets. So, and Erin's saying she's lucky to have friends that have a great, so they've already got it set up. They've got this heavenly ranch in Oregon for their pets to go to if something happens, and that's awesome, Erin. So, same concept of the energy bank with dogs. Esau's 15. If I let him, he will run from sun up to sundown, and then by 6 o'clock that night, he will not be able to move. So, what we have to do is keep him and Gracie and Mona, who are all older, inside, and we have 3 walks for the day. And that does 2 things. One is it gets me up and moving. It gets them up and moving. They get to go have a nice little walk, go do their little hunts, check out their favorite spots, and enjoy it, and we all come back in. And it gives them exercise without overspending their energy bank. So I hope that makes some sense. But, if you're in a place of illness, or your friend is in a place of illness, or you're looking at your older pet, I can't tell you the number of people that would come into the office with this 9-10-year-old pet dog usually, and they're like, well, usually he rides 5 miles a day with me on the bicycle. I'm like, well, he's 70 now. Do you think your mom could do that? I mean, short of Ernestine Shepherd, not many 70-year-olds could do that. If you don't know who she is, go check it out, because she's amazing. She's one of my role models. So be mindful of your pets. What can they do? What can they not do? Back it down a few notches. They won't like it to start with, but the payoff is going to be that they can do a mile a day consistently until they're 17. So think about it that way. So that's what I've got for you this week, guys. Oh, Kim Danner had gotten some holistic total body support and sent me some awesome pictures of Max and Bella enjoying it, so I'm going to post those up. She's been a lot of fun to hang out with, and Erin, you're pretty much a regular, and Lisa and Alicia are as well. So thank you so much for your support over these weeks. The thing that was astonishing to me, kind of relating back to all of this energy bank idea, is that I started looking at some videos I did back in January versus today, and I'm like, ooh, did not look too good then, but I was still able to help somebody. So have you guys got some specific questions you'd like to hear about today? I talked about sort of beach hazards a little bit, and then kidney failure. And if you've got, oh, Kelly, yeah. So I did mention your message. So, and again, so less protein was recommended. No, unless they are really super sick, don't do it, especially in a dog that's older, because they're going to lose muscle and they're not going to feel as well. So again, there's a kidney health program I wrote which goes over a ton of different options about other options to support kidney failure, and yeah, so that's really the deal. So no, don't drop the protein level. Any other questions you guys can think of? If not, message me here on Facebook at CrocPet. On the website, there's an Ask the Vet box on the sidelines of the bars that'll send a question over to us, and or email us at support@theoriginalcrocpet.com. So until next week, I hope you have an outstanding week, and remember, your pet's best health starts in the bowl.